Andy Levy. Andy, what's going
What's
on?
up, Molly? How you doing?
It's nice. The lighting, I'm in Jesse's studio, and the
Uh-huh.
lighting has made me look my actual age, which is
I
fucking
I feel you
cool.
right now. I don't know what's going on
It's
with my
not
camera,
good. If
so
you're watching
yeah.
this on the YouTube, just take 10 years off my age. Um, why not? Who among us? So you were like, what's going on besides Epstein? Basically, Epstein is going on. Like, the American people have decided. I mean, I feel like this is how stupid everything is. Trump has closing rural hospitals, cutting Medicaid, cutting SNAP, right? Food stamps. We're gonna have all these kids who can't eat. But it's Jeff Epp that has unraveled the thing, because the reality is, to quote philosopher, king, poet Joe Rogan, uh, we want answers.
Yeah, well, I've been saying that this is the first, how Trump voters are very big on saying this is not what I voted for. This is the first time I believed it because they legitimately did vote thinking they were going to get answers on Epstein. Why they then voted for the pal of Epstein is obviously beyond me, but that's the world we live in right now. But this is legitimately the first time where I see them saying this and I see them getting upset, and I'm like, all right, I buy it. I buy that you actually didn't you voted for what you thought was the opposite of this, stupid as that was, but it is legitimately what you thought, as opposed to the deportations and and all the other stuff that you mentioned, which Trump clearly signaled
Billions,
ahead of time. Yeah,
billions of dollars to ICE, right?
yeah, yeah. They
Billions of
voted for all of that.
dollars to, Mars.
Yeah.
At least a little less than $1 billion, maybe somewhere between 500 and $900 million to refurbishing Air Force One, a present that Donald Trump has taken for free with no influence.
Yeah.
No
Yeah.
influence. None.
Taxpayers paying for him to fly to Scotland to open a golf course?
I think that there are a lot of things that are keeping me up at night. I'm now at the stage of Trump's second term where I have anxiety dreams. Do you have anxiety dreams?
I do, but not about Trump.
Aw. I have people are like, "How's your life?" And I'm like, "My life in itself is fine," right? There's
Mhm.
not
Yeah.
it by the measures that I measure my own life, they're fine. But living through what is clearly at best unprecedented and at worst precedented in very bad moments of both American history and other countries that have fallen to authoritarian regimes, not a good feeling.
No, not a good feeling. By the way, I call anxiety dreams, I just call them dreams. So, I'm not aware of any other kind. Look, whatever anxiety dreams I am having, I'm thankful that they're not Trump related because it's at least a little bit of a respite
Right.
from my waking day. Which is just like it is unreal. And as bad as we all thought this was going to be, and we clearly thought it was going to be bad. The speed and just the overwhelming force of it, and watching institutions cave in real time and pretty quickly, it's so overwhelming. It's just every day. It's
What
I'm now at the point where I think Columbia, my alma mater, I'm more embarrassed of them than they are of me. I never thought that would happen.
what I find really soul crushing, and then I want to talk about the good news, which is nothing, is that I find the sort of way in which different places have really, like, Harvard now wants to make a deal. It was like 2 days ago, I was talking about like how great Harvard is for fighting against the admin. They want to make a deal. CBS, NBC, NBC not so much, but CBS, ABC both paid out. Um, we had this incredible moment this weekend where Trump sued Rupert Murdoch's Wall Street Journal for publishing this letter which said, we don't know we haven't seen the letter, but we've seen that there is this letter, and many people have confirmed that it's this letter. I mean, the problem with the Ghislaine story, is that there are so many victims, right? Like, this might be the largest sex trafficking story in American history, maybe not in American history, but it's one of the top. I mean, 200 plus victims. So you can never, there will always be another victim in this story.
Yeah.
There will always be another 14-year-old who is like, Ghislaine picked me up from school, middle school, not high school, middle school. So if you pardon her, you will unleash the floodgates of more and more of this. So it is, Trump is like in this position where they clearly want her to say he's not in it, right? Or
Right.
say something, right? I mean, this clearly the motivation. Blanche has gone and met with her. He has, why we don't have the notes, why we don't get information about what that meeting was, we don't know. But the deputy attorney general, which is, by the way, never happens, right? And it's 4 years after she's been, I mean, every
Yeah.
bit of the Todd
Yeah.
Blanche meeting is smacks of some kind of shakedown thing, because you don't
Yeah.
do that.
But remember Bill Clinton on the tarmac.
By the way, I love Republicans who are like, Bill Clinton's in it. Okay, I don't
Yeah.
care.
Oh, I know.
Send him to Gitmo. All right. Like,
Absolutely. I've sent it. Exile
wait,
him to wherever
right.
you're going to exile Trump.
Right. Next, you're
I,
gonna say Bill Richards is in it. Don't care. Fine.
right.
Put him in The
Right.
Hague. New Mexican governor, Democrat, Bill Richardson. Don't care. Send him to The
No,
Hague. I don't care.
absolutely. The thing is, you kept saying that they want Maxwell to do this. They want her to lie, is what they
Right.
want her to do.
Yeah.
Let's just,
But
let's name names.
she seems pretty amenable to that
Oh,
idea.
for sure. Let's not forget that she is as guilty as Epstein was. Like
Oh, yeah.
she wasn't some poor flunky who took the hit. She was in this. She was procuring these girls.
He
She
was
was
34
grooming
years
these girls.
old.
Yeah, she was completely 100% in this, and the idea that is even being that a pardon for her is even being floated, and I mean, look, every time it's the what was a great tweet that's now become a cliche. I'd love to see old Donnie wriggle his way out of this one,
Yeah. Yeah.
and we are at this point like it's hard to believe that anything will convince his base to turn against him, but maybe this. I mean, I'm not 100% sold on it.
Right.
I'm not even
Well,
close, but this has a possibility at
Well, and
least.
it's also, it's just, there's just not a clear way out in my mind, right?
Yeah.
Like, they clearly thought, "Oh, we'll say we're gonna release the grand jury, all the names are redacted, we know the names are redacted, we know it's a high level of, a high standard to release grand jury testimony. We
Yeah.
know it won't work, so we'll say that." So then the judges know you can't release grand jury testimony. Okay. Oops. But you know what it does is it just prolongs the news cycle. And we know there are
Right.
hundreds and hundreds of pictures and video and whatever, and very likely a lot of it is, unreleasable because it's pornography, child pornography. But there's certainly, I'm sure there are pictures of people with their clothes on that would be, at least, so, we know there are certain people we know are involved in this, just, that are in the book, that are in the list, that are in the birthday book. So I do think, and I do think they're not wrong. It's just that there are certain things that this administration has done that are horrific on a very large scale. This
Right.
may be horrific on a small scale. One of the other things I wanted to talk to you about was, it's like a race and class thing to a certain extent, like it's a wealth thing too. Like he said, "I'm one of you, I'm an outsider." And then here he is, like this guy was like Mr. Insider, right?
Yeah.
A ton of academics, a ton of wealthy people, a ton of politicians. So he's like, "I'm an outsider." Oh, and for 10 years I was best friends with this guy who was sort of the pinnacle of society and also a sex trafficker.
I find it interesting that he sort of at the very least intimated for a long time that he stopped being friends with Epstein because of maybe these unsavory things,
Right.
child sex trafficking. And then the other day he
Yeah,
comes
that's
out and says, "Oh, I
cool.
stopped being friends with him because he kept stealing employees from Mar-a-Lago."
Imagine if a
I
Democrat did that.
No, I
Like,
can't. I can't.
Kristi Noem posted this photo of her and her friend, Corey, riding horses
Yeah,
in Argentina, and it
yeah.
was like, wrote a Argentinian base, and I'm thinking to myself, like, you know, the fucking job is to serve the people and not to just have great vacations, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I also feel like riding a horse in Argentina at the same time that people are calling you a fascist and a Nazi is, like,
It's a
not the
little on
best
the
optics in
nose.
the
It's a little
world,
on the
but,
nose. It's a little
we're
on the
kinda
nose.
past that at this point. But to get back to what you were saying, it's class and wealth and all of that, and and look, Trump has somehow, again, convinced all these people who voted for him that he is one of them, that he looks out
Right.
for them, when in fact, I mean, you couldn't be more the opposite of that. And so this issue, I think another reason why this is becoming harder and harder for him to overcome or to make go away. This issue really gets to that because there are people now walking around thinking, "Oh my God, wait, he's actually part of this group. He's not looking out for me. He's not one of us. He's one of them." And again, God knows how it took this to make them figure that out, but that does seem to be a large part of it, and everything he's doing is furthering that, and like you said, everything he's doing is keeping the story alive, whether it's firing was it James Comey's daughter?
Yes.
And, it's just it feels like if you didn't want this story to go away, you would do exactly what the Trump administration is doing, and yet they seem to be doing it thinking it's gonna help make it go away.
My man is a very undisciplined politician. He's a
So
very undisciplined thinker. There is no world in which this guy, anytime, and during Trump's first admin, we saw this a lot, there would be a sort of blue anonish, like, this is this, he's doing that to distract from this, and then he's going to do that, and then pay attention to what they're saying and not what they're doing, or what they're doing and not what they're saying. But the reality is, like, he just throwing shit on the wall. There's no world
yeah,
in
always
which,
has. Right.
yeah, there's no discipline here. There's no like
Yeah.
master plan.
But also, I get really annoyed at the people who think that the Epstein thing itself is a distraction,
From
and,
what?
for a couple of well, that's the thing. Like, yes, as you pointed out earlier, okay, it might not be as, all encompassing as the fact that we're, at the end of due process in this country
Not
and things
great?
like that. Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. But it's still
Or
it's
Alexander
still it's
isn't.
child sex trafficking. It's not a
Right.
distraction. That's a kind of a
Right.
gross thing to say. But also, it's not a distraction because of everything we've been talking about, that this is what seems to be turning his base against him. So, it really annoys me. I understand why Republicans want to say it's a distraction, but it really
Right.
annoys me when there are
Everyone down.
Democrats out there saying, "Oh, we shouldn't focus on this." I understand, again, in terms of
Right.
what's going on in Gaza and what's going on with the kidnapping people off the street
Yeah.
and shredding the Constitution thing, sure,
Not great. Yeah.
not in the same scope, but still, if this is the thing that's gonna bring Trump down and it's goddamn awful in and of itself, don't call it a
Yeah.
distraction.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, it's hard to think of anything that unites all of us more than child sex trafficking is bad and people should not do it. And if they've done it, they should go to jail. Like, this is not a hard one. There's no
No.
nuance here. And, no, I agree. I also think this thing is gonna go on and on and on. One of the things that's happening here is the Republicans have signed on to the bill, have signed this BBB, but none of them read it. So
Right.
so now they're learning what's in it and is coming as a delightful surprise. I wanna read you something because I feel like, it's time for amazing show and tell here. And, there are these rescission packages and the question of whether or not they can be receded. So basically what's happened is in order to pass these rescission packages, they need to have bipartisan support.
Right.
Russ Vought, architect of Project 2025, which Trump said he knew nothing about, but who also, you'll remember that Russ Vought worked in Trump's first administration. I feel like I take crazy pills every time we talk about this because it was like Trump was president for 4 years and he did
I know.
all the stuff. Then he campaigned and he was like, I'm going to do all this stuff. And everyone was like, no, he's not. He's
No.
not. He says he's going to do it, but he's not going to do it. Right. He had this thing where they would be like, they would just give him the benefit of the doubt, as opposed to every other politician where they were like, "You can't do
Yeah.
that." You're
Yeah.
okay. So now key Republicans are regretting a tax hike on gamblers they inserted into President Trump's mega bill, calling for it to be repealed. One GOP senator said they didn't even know it was in the bill they voted for.
I mean, Ted Cruz has said things like this, and other. Do you think that makes you look better? I mean, this is literally you have one job. Like
I
your
don't
job is to know what you're voting on.
actually think a tax on gamblers
That too.
might actually be
Yes.
like, it's the stuff in there that they want, like the rescission. So the
Right.
last rescission
Right.
package was money for PEPFAR and also defunding all public radio. Basically, all public broadcasting, public radio, like sticking it to Sesame Street because though, cutting the $7 they get from the federal budget. I mean,
Right.
sticking it to Grover and Elmo because they say kindness, and kindness is obviously woke propaganda.
Sure.
Yeah.
I think the solution here is for Elmo to develop a gambling problem,
It is the
and
only
then
answer.
he can get money once they take that out of the bill. But no, you're right. I was making a different point, but you're absolutely right. Of all the things for them to be suddenly like, oh, I wish I hadn't voted for that. It's a tax on gambling.
You gave
Like,
billions of dollars to colonizing Mars. I mean,
yeah,
there
yeah,
billions of dollars to nefarious shit that we've never heard of, and now you're upset about Elmo.
yeah. Oh, and you cut all that. You took all that money away from Medicaid and
Yes.
all of that stuff.
Andy Levy. Andy Levy. I'm being detained. No, I'm not being detained yet. Will you come back? Oh,
I
come
guess. Yeah, I'll
back.
come back.
Oh my
I'll come
God.
back.